Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Staying Healthy Through the Holidays episode. We're going to talk a little bit about how our Thanksgiving holiday went, and as we come into the Christmas season, just some tips and tricks, things that we like to incorporate to stay healthy through the holidays and kind of stay on track. So, how was your Thanksgiving, Kimberly?
It was pretty good. Didn't really do a whole lot. I cooked and we ate, and that was basically it. My kids came over, except for one of them, the one that moved with the grandbabies. So I had the grandbabies, and the grandbabies were sick, so that was a challenge. I stayed up cleaning up throw up before I started cooking.
Oh, that's right. That was right before the last episode that we recorded because you were like dead tired that day. I remember that.
Yeah. How about y'all? No, y'all went to the camp.
Right. We always travel to my hometown, Natchez, Mississippi, and we stay at the camp with my dad. And then we drive into town Thanksgiving Day to have lunch at my grandmother's. Like basically her whole family comes in. I think we had about 30 people, which is about normal, and lots of food. And so we do Thanksgiving lunch at my grandmother's, and then we come back, home that evening to the camp, and my dad cooks Thanksgiving dinner at the camp. So we had 2 Thanksgivings and like 4 days worth of leftovers. Yeah.
Well,
Which is not a tip or trick. Do as I say, not as I do. But, I have a lot of food allergies, so I cannot partake of a lot of things just, organically. I don't even attempt to eat them because I feel so bad afterward. So that really helps me kind of stay away because everything that everybody cooks for the holidays has gluten in it. So it's like the green bean casserole, the sweet potato casserole, the dressing, like everything has wheat flour in it. So I have to just stay away from a lot of it, which helps. I'm not complaining. Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse.
Well, I would say people will be like, whatever. I don't like all of that stuff. So that's what helps me. So on Facebook the other day, a friend of mine it was like the list, when you're supposed to go through and mark, what you like, what you don't like. And it was this big list of all this food, I mean, out of like 20, I think there was like 4 or 5 things that I even like, and she's like, what? Because I don't eat any of that. So I hate to say that. So it helps me sometimes, helps me stay on track a little bit because I don't like dressing and I don't like green bean casserole. I don't like yams. Yeah.
I like all of it. It just doesn't like me back. Now, my grandmother one year did fix me dressing, and she made it the cornbread with gluten-free flour. So I could eat it. And it was amazing because it was like the first time in 5 or 6 years I had it. And I love my grandmother's dressing. And my mom has promised me this year that she's going to make some gluten-free dressing and that she's going to make some gluten-free chicken and dumplings for me for Christmas. So I am looking forward to that.
I'm interested to see how these dumplings go.
Yeah. She's going to use the King Arthur's gluten-free flour, and I think they've got a really good recipe as far as like the mixtures and the ratios, because a lot of gluten-free stuff can be weird in the consistency. But I've heard of other people using that and doing well. So I'll be interested. It'll be her first time. It was funny because my grandmother was so worried about cooking with gluten-free flour. She's like, I don't even know where to buy it. I'm like, Jean, you just go to Walmart. You just buy it here. It's everywhere now, and you just use it 1-to-1 ratio. It's nothing different,
Yeah.
It turned out great. It tasted just like her dressing. So, but my aunt made the dressing this year, and it wasn't gluten-free. But that's okay because, like I said, I don't need any help eating. So any deterrent I can put in my way, any barrier is good.
Well, jealous. We've never really had big Thanksgivings. I don't really have a big family, to be honest. I mean, we have lots of kids, but as far as family goes, I don't. It's just me and my brother, so there's not a lot of siblings. My brother always goes with his wife's family on Thanksgiving, so ever since they've been married, I don't know, 30 years, 31 years, whatever. they go with her family on Thanksgiving. And my dad has always been with his wife's family on Thanksgiving. So it pretty much, my mom is single. So usually my mom would come over, and then it would just be my kids when they were little. And then when they got bigger, their boyfriends or spouses, and then now the grandkids. So it really just seems like a Sunday dinner in a way, because it was me and Carrie. My daughter Megan was here, but actually she showed up like after we had ate, because she'd went to her dad's. But her spouse was working. My daughter Kayla was here with her little girl, and then my son and his girlfriend, and that was it.
Yeah. See, most people have a large Christmas, and for our family, it's Thanksgiving because of my grandmother. That's her holiday, because like for Christmas, it's like that. Everybody's at their other families, or if you have small kids, it's easier to be at home, and things are more, centrally located to the nuclear family. So for my grandmother, she captured Thanksgiving, and she's like, I'm gonna have everybody here. So we have a big, huge. But then Christmas, nobody's there. We go there the day after Christmas and spend a week at the camp, and spend that time. But we do nothing for my family really at Christmas.
Well, at least you have Thanksgiving, because honestly, I can't even say for Christmas we do. So normally we would, so when I was little and my parents got divorced, we would go to dad's for a little while and then go to mom's. We split that day up. We continued to do that the older we got. Like they would take turns of who we had lunch with. So then even after we got married, but it was still just like me and my brother, because my mom's husband at the time, my stepdad, his family lived out of town. So even when we were at my mom's, it was just us kids and them. When we went to my dad's, now when my grandmother was alive, they were there, and my cousins would be there. And my dad's brother, so my uncle and his kids. But then it was like the older they got, then they had families they were going to, and it was harder to rein all of them in. And then when my grandmother passed, they're always the glue, us women that hold everything together. I haven't seen my cousins or really done anything with my dad's side of the family, because both of his parents are gone now. My mother's parents died when I was 5. So never had a whole lot of that grandparent connection and big family. My mom's brother, she has one brother, he lives in Georgia.
Yeah, I shudder to think what's going to happen to my family traditions when my grandmother's no longer here. Like, it's just going to disintegrate, right? There's going to be no house that you centrally locate at. Everybody comes in from like out of town. Basically, everybody's moved away except for a few of her siblings. And so we all come and congregate at that one house for that one meal. And when she's no longer there, that's probably no longer going to exist, and things are going to change. So
I think that's why it's always been so important for me, just wanting, because I never had, like with my mama's brother being gone and those cousins living out of town, and you only seen them once a year. But most of the time it was like during the summer. It wasn't at holidays, because they were not traveling all the way down here to see us at Christmas. They're at home having Christmas because Santa's coming. You know what I'm saying? Right. So they were coming down during, their break from school during the summer. So we just never really had a big family get together. So I always idolized people that did that. So I've always tried to go overboard, I think, with having things and doing things. And now it might be small, but I hope I'm going to be that grandmother. So, like, I will be
because y'all have plenty of kids. And once they start having kids, and now my grandmother, she's going to be a great, great grandmother, because my sister's child, who is her great grandson, is pregnant. They're pregnant and they're having a baby, like I think in April or something. So we have like generations of people. We just keep multiplying. My aunt always said, in the Bible, when they say be fruitful and multiply, you and your sister took it seriously. Because I have 3 kids, 2 stepkids, so that's 5. Then my sister had 5 children herself. And then now she has 2 stepkids. So that's a lot of people. But when we're talking about grandmothers, it makes me think about a podcast I was listening to before the holiday season. I always struggle during the holidays because I struggle with staying on plan but then also navigating social situations with my family and special meals, and there's like a battle within myself about that. But she was like, eat the pie with grandma. Like she said, my grandma's gone, and what I wouldn't give to have one more holiday with her, eat the damn pie. It's not going to hurt you, or something like that. Not that I can eat it anyway, but she was just basically saying it's one meal. It's not going to derail your progress to have one meal, and just be present with your family and just enjoy that moment, because time moves on, and then you don't have that moment anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel that way and wanted, to express that today. Now, there's a difference between you ate and enjoyed it and you went overboard. Like have the slice of cake, have the slice of pie, but nobody said go in there for seconds, thirds, fourths, and all day the next day.
Right. I was going to say, even if you go grossly off plan that one meal, that one day, if you're back on plan the next day, like I said, we had Thanksgiving lunch and then Thanksgiving dinner, and then we were at the camp. So we just ate Thanksgiving leftovers for the next 4 days until we left and came home. That is not okay. Not that I ate differently than everybody else, but you can enjoy one meal, even one day, even if you do have seconds and thirds. And if you hop right back on the next day, then you're probably not going to do that much damage.
Yeah. Or if you're able to, I heard somebody talking about this the other day, and that's true too, depending on what's going on. Like in my situation, which I was just decorating Christmas trees. So if I didn't have 50 trees to put up, I could have went to the gym that Friday. So I could have used the surplus that you're eating, to go to the gym next day and use that as fuel for a really good workout. And sometimes I do like to do that. Like if I have done that, when I go to the gym the next day, it's like just invigorating to feel like you ate all of that food and now I'm utilizing it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like an infusion of energy almost.
Yeah.
You have all these extra calories, and you feel good and you feel strong, and you can definitely utilize that to get better lifts the next day.
Yeah. Then I even feel better about my workout. I don't know. It's something energizing about it to me.
Yeah. And I mean, it feels like, food is fuel. And when you can put it to good use, I feel like you do have more confidence. And all this food, I didn't eat it for nothing. I'm not just going to sit around and store it for fat.
I think that's what it is. I feel like I've redeemed myself. Like I went here and I crushed it, even though I ate that,
Right.
I'm back on point, and then I don't feel as bad. But if I wallow in it, I have been known to do that. I have been known to
feel guilty.
It's okay to eat this way today. And then, like I said, I was decorating the Christmas trees, or I'm doing this. I'm trying to get everything done that weekend because I take off. That way I'm ready for Christmas. And if I'm so busy doing stuff and I don't get to go to the gym, and then I'm busy putting up the tree, so then you like, I just snack while I'm doing this and that. Then it just turns into a spiral. And then I get so far off, then I think, I'm just so far gone now. Just eat the bowl of ice cream. Well, I ate the bowl of ice cream. I think it's common because I don't think I'm the only one that does that.
Absolutely.
So if we try to recondition our brain that just because we did eat it that one time doesn't mean that we're the most horrible peoples on the face of the earth. Just move on the next day and then you're okay. Don't let it mentally, because I have let it get in my head, and then it gets worse. Because then I've spiraled, like you're saying, for 3 or 4 days, and then that's harder to bring back in.
Yeah, I think that shame spiral definitely catches all of us, where if you don't have your perspective right, and you're not going into it basically with a good perspective of, I'm going to be present in this moment. I'm going to enjoy this moment with my family. This moment doesn't define who I am altogether all day long, every day, but it's just a moment in time. And then I'm going to go right back to my good daily habits. Then that shame spiral really does make it easier to just not follow through on your habits when
Yeah.
actually, if you can just give yourself permission to enjoy the moment and move on past it, then you may can be more successful instead of being completely derailed, hopping right back on plan.
Um, yeah.
I
I
think it's
think
like
that,
an all or nothing mentality. Now that I'm sitting
yeah.
back thinking about it, it's like
Yeah.
our diet culture has made it an all or nothing mentality. Either you're on a diet or you're not on a diet, which is not the truth. You shouldn't be on a diet at all. You should be eating healthy for a
Right.
lifestyle. And
Correct.
one meal doesn't define your entire life.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I think if we have more of a mentality going in that day, instead of me saying, oh, I'm just going to cheat today. I'm just going to let today or this weekend, and then I'm going to get back, instead of I'm already setting the stage for how it's going to go. Set the stage a different way and say, I'm going to enjoy today, like you said, and it doesn't mess up anything. And then tomorrow I'm right back at it. Sometimes if we think how, and don't set yourself up for failure before you even go. I know I am bad about that.
I even think the term cheating is terminology that we've been taught to use that's unhealthy for our
Yeah.
mindsets.
Yeah.
Because
Well, I had that one coach. It wasn't a cheat day. It was a refeed day.
right. Read feed or untracked meal. I've heard people kind of moving towards that terminology. Because if you start making foods good or bad, then you're demonizing certain foods and, making certain foods diet foods or good foods for you. Then it kind of sets you up for that all or nothing mentality. When in actuality, all food has micro and macronutrients. All food has calories and is used for fuel. It's just what proportions are you taking them in, and what does the rest of your day look like? And that's kind of what we're going to get into is some core elements, some tips and tricks that we can kind of utilize to maximize the fuel that we're going to put in our bodies for the holidays, how to navigate staying on plan and staying on track. And even if you are off track, like a lot of us do, like we've talked about, struggling during the holidays as well. We're not perfect. I know I've struggled during the season for sure. Then what to do if you are struggling. So the first one is going to be getting an adequate amount of sleep. We've talked about before, if you're not well rested, you're not going to make good decisions. You're not going to be emotionally all together. You may be more tired, which is going to trigger your body to want to eat more, to get more energy. Maybe you're an emotional eater. And if you're not regulating your emotions well through the holidays, which the holidays can be extremely stressful with all the different schedule changes and social engagements, and maybe you're around family that you don't necessarily have a good relationship with, or there may be some toxic situations that are going to be triggering for you. If you're well rested and you're getting at least like 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep per night, then you'll be better able to deal with the things that come along. Like you mentioned, the grandkids were staying the night with you and they were sick and you were up all night. I mean, how did you feel the next day compared to how you feel after a normal night's rest, and what kind of decision making processes were off?
Yeah. Well, I was exhausted for sure. I don't think I've gotten rest in since because I just did the field trip thing. But yeah, I mean, then I had to get up and cook the whole meal because nobody brings anything. Mama has to have Mama's cooking. So even though I'm cleaning up throw up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I turn around and I had to have the turkey on by 8 to be done at lunchtime. So yeah, I was exhausted. Um, but for me though, that might be a bad question to ask because as I told you,
You don't sleep good anyway. Yeah.
yeah, and for some reason when I cook food, I don't want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So if I spend from 8 o'clock to 12:30 in the kitchen, I mean, it's going to be later for me. That's when I'll probably make, the bad decisions. Like when we sit down
Mm-hmm.
then to eat, I know that everybody's going to eat that food in 2 seconds, and then now I got to clean it all up.
Right.
So when everybody gets out of here and I'm alone, that's when I fight bad decisions. Because number one, I feel that sometimes it's easier to make good decisions when other people are watching us.
Yes.
Because if everybody knows that you're a bodybuilder, or everybody knows you're on prep, or everybody knows that you're on a diet and you're trying to eat healthy, you know that I hate to say it, but they're judging you. Because I can't tell you how many times that whenever I do eat something off plan, or when I'm not on a diet, that I have to get somebody to look at me and say, "Are you supposed to be eating that?" And I feel judged, and I'm thinking I'm not even on a, plan right now. So sometimes I will reel in how I'm eating around people because of that. It's when you're alone that I feel like sometimes we have a tendency to kind of pull out the snacks and be like, oh, nobody's going to know. I might buy dip that I normally don't buy at the grocery store on the weekend because my husband's not here, and I'm thinking, oh, I can eat this at night when he's not here, and he's not going to know I ate it. Because he does, bless his heart, he tries to keep me in check too, because sometimes he'd be like, you're not supposed to get over a certain weight. You said, and I'm like, shut up. But I know he's just trying to hold me accountable. He's not trying to be mean. He's actually trying to help me, because I did say it, and that is my goal, and that is what I want to do. So when I have somebody checking me, sometimes I can be more careful than if I'm alone. So that went way off of what you asked me. But
well, you brought up a good point, because you said he's just trying to hold you accountable, because that is my goal. You have a value system, you have a plan, you have a goal of what you want to accomplish. But sometimes in the moment, in the heat of the moment, when nobody's looking, when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're hungry, you're going to make choices based off of your emotional state and how you're feeling in your body in that moment. And you're not necessarily going to make a good choice based off your value system, your goal, and your plan, which is a great exercise for all of us, because none of us are perfect. None of us nail this, all the time, except for maybe Ashley Kaltwasser, but, that's another story. But in that moment when you're feeling that, if you just kind of check yourself, and this is what I'm going to have to do for myself also, I'm preaching to myself right now, is that I'm going to have to step back and say, okay, I really want this, whatever this food is right now. I'm really craving it. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I've done a lot today. I deserve it, or I want to comfort myself with this, but how does it align with my goals? How does this get me closer to what I'm trying to accomplish? We're not necessarily speaking about that Thanksgiving meal or that Christmas meal, but during the entire season when we're dealing with all these added stressors and schedule changes and social situations, can we just stop, take a minute to acknowledge our feelings and ask ourselves, does it align with our goals? Which is what Carrie's doing from you for an external perspective. He's saying, hey, you said you are going to do X, Y, and Z. This is not aligning with what you said you were going to do.
Right. And
which nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah. And, maybe that's an idea too for some people. If that is a way to hold you accountable, like I said, if somebody's staring at you or looking at you, have that family member be the one that tries to keep you, not in a mean way, but it would be like, me and you, okay, I need this buddy here. Don't let me do this, or try to remind me,
But it just pisses me off when somebody else is like.
That's why I said it would depend on your personality.
You said, I don't like it and my husband doesn't dare open his mouth. If I want something to eat, we eating it. He don't say a word, even though he knows better. And I've told him to. I said, don't let me eat this, But it's something we're going to have to motivate ourselves internally. It's a habit we're going to have to develop within ourselves to just be like, why am I feeling this way? What do I really need in this moment? And can I check myself?
Well, I'll tell you what some of my issue, or I find is an issue for me, and it might help people, is because I need to do it too. Just like that day when I have stayed up all night, cooked all day, you sit down for 5 minutes. It's amazing how fast they can scarf down a meal that took me 5 hours to fix.
I'm going to need you to chew a little slower, please.
And then I got to clean it all up. I'm exhausted. And like I said, then the next, usually starting that night, but this year we actually took one of the grandbabies to the movies. But usually on Thanksgiving night, because everybody leaves. He leaves for the hunting camp that day and I'm here alone. So I usually will start my Christmas putting up decorations. I'm tired. I don't want to cook. I don't even want to get in there and fix my rice and my chicken or this or that. But if I would set something aside that I could just go in there and microwave, or something that's already fixed, because that's a lot of my problem is once I get tired like that, I just want to sit down and grab something.
Right.
Not necessarily because I want to eat off plan or because I'm craving that. It's just because I'm freaking tired and I don't want to go in there and actually have to think about fixing something.
Yeah.
So if while I'm in there for that 5 hours, I set a couple of those proportionate, the turkey or whatever aside for me that I could go in there and grab later, I would do it.
Yeah, that's a great plan to plan ahead. What am I going to eat after all this is over? What am I going to eat the next several days? Maybe cooking it in advance and freezing it or whatever. And that way you can just pull it out and microwave it, because after cooking all that, you're not going to want to cook again. And I think that's why we eat leftovers for so long. Number one, you don't want to waste the food, so maybe send it home, get some to-go containers and send it home with your family. That way you don't have as much left over. But number two, you just don't want to cook again. It's like, I already have all this food already cooked. I'm just going to eat it till it's gone, which is what happened at the camp. We had like 15, 17 people staying there, and we had all this food. We had planned some meals that we ended up not even cooking because we still had leftovers till the day we left. We stayed Wednesday night through Sunday morning, and we had leftovers the entire time. Now, like I said, I couldn't eat anything but like the meats, and I brought some of my own sides, to put with it. But like you said, the turkey, having meat's not going to hurt you. Keep that meat left over and just have a healthy side to put with it, something that you don't have to think about. Because like we were talking about, in that moment, you're not going to make the best decision for you because you are exhausted. You don't have the capability to make a good decision at that moment because you are feeling some type of way. So if you plan it ahead, what you're going to eat afterward, you already have a plan going into it. And I think it'll keep that shame spiral down too, because you're not making decisions based off of bad feelings and bad decisions. You're making them ahead of time when you're thinking clearly and when you're aligning with your goals. So that was a really good observation.
Well, another, talking about like thinking ahead, I do this sometimes when I'm going to restaurants. So, you could do it, whoever, like your grandmother, you might not could always, but like when we're going to my mama's next weekend, I know that mama's wanting to do Mexican. I know what the menu is. I already know what I can eat that is considered Mexican and what I can't. That would be off plan. Now, I'm not saying that I can't eat off plan like we talked about, but to stay more on plan, if I Google, if we're going to a restaurant, I will look up the menu. I'll already see what I want to order, so that I go straight in like I'm getting the chicken. I already know what I want. I've already thought about it all day. I've already looked at the calories. That way I don't get overwhelmed and in the moment make a bad decision of, I'm hungry. Oh, this looks good. This looks good. I look at the menu ahead of time and pick out something. So that's a trick that I use when I'm going to be going out to eat somewhere. But you could also kind of do that with a family meal if you know so and so is bringing this and so and so. Kind of already plan ahead. Okay, I can eat this and I can eat this. And if you want to eat the macaroni and cheese or something that's what, just make a smaller portion on your plate. Don't not eat it, but just do a spoonful and not two heaping spoonfuls.
Right. And that's another topic we had, eating mindfully. Because of my food allergies, I have been forced to learn how to do this. And I hate asking family when they're nice enough to cook for you and prepare a meal for you. I hate to go, well, what are you having? Because some people will get annoyed by that or get offended. But so a lot of times what I have learned how to do, instead of asking, well, what are you having, to see if they're making sure that I have something I can also eat, I'll bring my own dish. I'll make a dish that's healthier, or like Kennedy wanted to make a dish for Thanksgiving this year. She wanted to cook something, and we finally landed on sugar-free banana pudding. She made homemade whipped cream with sugar-free banana pudding and gluten-free little keto vanilla wafers. And she made a gorgeous, very tasty banana pudding. And we took to my grandmother's, we ate it, whatever. So that's another hack. It's like you said, a lot of people are like, well, can you eat this? And it's like, well, I can. I'm not going to die, but I'm going to feel like shit for a long time. And it's going to cause me a lot of problems that I don't want to deal with. So I choose not to eat certain things. And in order to not offend anyone or maybe seem like an annoying nuisance, I just choose to bring some things that I know that I'm not going to have issues with. And that way at every gathering, I may not have a whole meal. I may have to pick and choose some things to piece together. I may not have a meat, two sides, and a bread and a dessert like everybody else, but I'm going to get full. I'm going to have enough in my belly not to starve to death and to partake. And another thing is, I used to sometimes, when I was really super strict on everything, I would eat before I go.
I was just fixing to say that.
I would eat whatever.
Because me and Carrie are picky eaters. We have done that before. Like, I'm going to eat a little something here that I know that I can eat. I might not fill up to where, because you want
Right.
to pick with a few things that they have. But if I'm not sure that I'm going to like what they have so that I'm not there starving, I'll eat before I go.
Right. Because that'll help you make better decisions too. Because if you're not starving, then you're more likely to not be like, oh my God, I really want that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own preferences of things. But
Yes, ma'am.
yep. So another thing, we've kind of already talked about exercise a little bit, in that you are taking in extra calories. And we all know, if you are on a weight loss journey, it is largely about a calorie balance. So you have to expend more calories than you're taking in, to lose weight. And so exercising is a great way to balance that out. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, and I don't necessarily agree with everything people say today when it comes to diet culture and being toxic, and people are saying you should never say, I have to earn my dinner, or you should never punish yourself with exercise because you've eaten a meal. They say that that's toxic and that you're not. I don't necessarily agree with that, because number one, I enjoy exercise. It makes me feel good inside. It makes me feel good about myself. I don't have a toxic relationship with exercise. So when I'm exercising after a good hearty meal, like you said, I feel better about it. I don't feel like I'm punishing myself.
Right.
So I think exercise is a great way to balance that out, because if you are intaking more calories, you should try to expend more calories, or cut calories somewhere else during the day. Like Thanksgiving lunch, I skipped breakfast, which I normally push my breakfast back to 10 or 11 in the morning anyway, because I do intermittent fasting just to help keep my calories low. But I didn't eat breakfast at all that morning. I just had my coffee and I saved all my calories for lunch, But
Yeah.
Exercise is a great way to utilize whatever surplus you do take in, that
Well,
day.
I heard one person say one time, and I think this is a great idea. No, like I said, because I don't have a whole lot of family that comes over, but after everybody eats, I'm not saying that this would be feasible. I'm just saying if it was feasible for people and everything's cleaned up. Most families like to sit around and talk, or the men to do this. Well, get some of the women in the family and y'all go for a walk. And that gives you time to let your food settle, get you some exercise. I always like to walk after a meal when I feel really full. I like
It's
to.
so good for digestion. It really does help your food process. I mean, help your body process the food.
Well, and for me, sometimes I don't know about you, but when everybody's over, I like to converse and catch up with everybody. But if I'm still sitting in there and I can see everything that needs to be cleaned up, maybe that's just me because I'm OCD to a point, but I can't hardly sit still. I mean, my daughter even said something the other day when I said about them coming over and playing games and stuff Saturday and spending the day and wanting them to, enjoy each other. And she was like, well, you wouldn't sit down anyway because they know I'm constantly doing something, and I'm trying to be better about that and being present in the moment. But sometimes I can be sitting there and be like, oh, that picture's crooked and I just have to fix it. Or, oh, I could put on some laundry right now, and while we're sitting here doing nothing, at least the clothes are washed. And so then I'll get up and go put, and then, oh, well, the garbage needs to be taken out. I could just run this up, and so I can't sit and be present. But if I were to get up and go walk, I could be more present with them because I'm not looking at that stuff. Plus, it's good exercise. You're getting out in the sunlight. You need, sun and outside and the fresh air and the talking. And I think that would be like a great family thing.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. I really wish I could get my family to do that because some of my best girlfriends, we have walking dates, and you walk and talk, and it really passes the time when you're talking to somebody and you're walking and you're, like you said, you're out getting sunshine, fresh air, and activity anyway. That would be an amazing after dinner. Because, I mean, what do you do when you eat a big Thanksgiving meal? Most of my uncles end up on the couch asleep, they take naps. They're falling asleep sitting up because, I mean, like the turkey, has the hormones in it that helps you relax. And once you get stuffed, especially if you have a lot of carbohydrates, then your insulin spikes and it makes you want to sleep. So you could counteract that and stay more present with your family.
Yeah.
I love that idea. And I think that's the old Southern way. My grandmother's the same way. From the time she wakes up in the morning cooking till the time everybody's gone, she's on her feet. Even at 85, she's wearing a back brace because she broke her back in 3 places not too long ago because of osteoporosis. And she really struggles, to stand up and to walk and everything. She will not sit down. She don't even sit down and eat the meal with us because she's making sure that everybody else has what they need and that everybody's taken care of and that everybody's having a good time. And it's just a lot.
I have been there. And sometimes by the time even sit down, they've already started eating, and some of them to be finished. But this year, I will say, I was still trying to make gravy, and Carrie's going, don't worry about it, because I try to make that last so that it's hot, and at the right consistency to go. And plus, I mean, you don't want to make that first and it's sitting over anyway. And so he likes white gravy to go over his turkey, but brown gravy to go over the mashed potatoes.
Oh, he's not spoiled at all, is he?
No. He's like, but he was like, you don't have to make all that. Don't do all of that. And I'm like, yeah, but your mama told me. I mean, she got me in the kitchen the very first Thanksgiving I went up there. And I was like, he likes this and you've got to do this. And I was like, so your mama told me I had to. And he's like, I am not worried about it. So anyway, they're getting my plate. Just come sit down. Just sit down. So they did wait on me this year.
Nice.
Which was sweet. But at the same time, I'm like, just eat. Just, because I still feel like I need to finish getting everything for them. But anyway,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working
Yeah.
on it.
I mean, the holidays are about coming together. It's not about the food you're eating. It's about who's around the table,
Yeah.
and I've had to get older to realize that these, everything we do in this society is built around food, you know, every get together, we have to have food, and we're so focused on the food that it's not about the food. It is about the presence, the time spent together, the memories, the pictures, the stories, and the connection. And so I think we have so closely related connection and food that it's hard for us to separate that when it comes to the holidays. And then it really takes a completely different mindset going into it to be able to enjoy the food with reason and not get caught up in the presentation or the quality or the quantity or whatever, and to just really focus on the quality of presence that you can give to each of your family members during that moment.
Yeah.
It's not how we were raised. And I don't know, this may be a Southern thing. We're both from the South, so we can't answer for anybody else. But Southern hospitality, girl, you got to be on it.
Yeah. I mean,
Which,
we're having parties at the house, and I'm picking up cups. Carrie, somebody be looking for their cup, and Carrie's going, Kimberly probably already throwing it away. If you sit that cup down, it's gone. You better put your name on it. Well, I've got one daughter that starts writing her name on it so that I won't throw them away. Because, people will set a cup down, they don't know what they did with it, so they go get another one, and then they go get another one, and then they're just everywhere. So I just start picking them up and throwing them away.
yeah.
But sometimes I'm thinking to myself, if I clean up as we go, then I don't have it all when everybody leaves.
Right.
And
but you're splitting your focus.
It is true.
Mm-hmm. It's that perfectionism thing that we all strive for.
So, what you got next?
So our next point is to stay hydrated. So I know when you're busy and you're not thinking about it, it's hard to stay on top of your water consumption. It's hard to stay hydrated, but when you're dehydrated, your body doesn't function optimally. You can feel more hungry. If you're hydrated, you can feel more full. Your digestion works better. So it's super important not to neglect staying hydrated through the holidays. And also, you're probably eating foods that you don't normally eat on a daily basis, and some of them have a lot more sodium in them or can make your body swell or react in certain type of ways. So I think just the more water we can drink, the better off we'll be to kind of flush all of that out quicker.
Yeah, good point.
I know when I eat something that doesn't make me feel really well, my doctor told me to drink a lot of water because it's going to flush, it's going to process. And then the last topic is just limit alcohol consumption. I know we were talking a little bit before we recorded that you had been to a holiday party recently and got a little tipsy.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody
ratting me out.
But that's not something that we normally do. I don't like the taste of alcohol. I don't like the way it makes me feel. Like, I wish I could just cut loose and get drunk one night. I've never been drunk. I would love to just be that girl one night and just have that fun story to tell later, But I'm envious of people who can, and that weird, like, people are probably envious of me. But I don't really drink. It's not worth the calories for me. I don't get anything out of it. It's a whole lot of calories. Your body prioritizes processing alcohol before it'll process fat, so to me, that's just a no-go. But for some people, it's super important. It's part of the holiday season. It's part of having to deal with your family. Some people can't go to a family function without it. And some people are self-medicating because I do have social anxiety and I do get overstimulated in crowds. So if I could drink and take the edge off, like, it would probably be a much more enjoyable time for everybody who's experiencing me, but I just don't enjoy it. But limiting alcohol during the holiday season can only benefit you.
Well, yeah, that was Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, unless you needed to stay mentally sane.
Well, that wasn't me necessarily that day, but like you say, I don't hardly ever either. So it don't take much. But whenever we do things with his work, like when we went out of town for his work, they all are big drinkers, and they'll drink a lot. And so last night or Friday night, when they come around and ask me, like I told you, I did order something, honestly expecting that I would barely drink it because I normally don't. I'm not really sure what took over my body, but I had not even drank the whole drink and I was already feeling it. And his boss's wife is sitting next to me, and I told her, I said, I'm feeling this. And she's like, you're such a lightweight. And I was like, well, I just don't ever drink. She said, you don't ever drink at home? And I said, no, you do.
Yeah. It shocked me as many people who do. There's people that drink daily.
She just kind of looked at me. She said, it's been a rough year. And I got tickled but see, I wasn't raised like that either. Not putting anything down of anybody that does, but I just wasn't raised. My parents didn't drink at all and still don't. We were just brought up that that's a no-no. So I just didn't grow up seeing that, or so when I met people, the older I got, and they would be like, oh, my parents used to come home every day after work and like fix a drink. That was foreign to me. I didn't understand. I didn't know what that, like, I think I thought even coming up, even though we didn't drink, that was just something people did when they went out, not that you come home from work every day and that was the way they would unwind. I didn't know that happened until I got way older. I thought that was just people going out and partying. I thought that's the only time it was consumed, is you went to a bar or a club and got drunk.
Yeah, my grandparents were on my mother's side, and probably my father's side too, were extremely religious. One side was Baptist, one side was Church of God. It was super weird when I went to church on Sundays. Didn't know if I was supposed to clap or not. But anyway, neither one of them side drank. And so my dad did, though. He actually worked for Anheuser-Busch for a period of time. He was the beer route sales guy, putting the beer in the grocery stores. But he drank beer like every night. Like he'd come home and have a couple of beers. He only went out and got drunk. I mean, there were times he got drunk, but it was like parties and stuff. And I was a kid, so I wasn't there. So it was like the same. It's like my mom didn't, but my dad did. But then my parents got divorced, when I was young. And so I lived with my mom. So it was the same thing. It's like I didn't see that modeled. We never had alcohol in the home. If she drank, it was out socially with friends, and I pretty much wasn't there. And so that was my thing too. When I got into like my teenage and 20 years or whatever, I would have a couple of drinks when I'd be out in a social situation, but I never had it at home. And then I had kids young, so it was, I was at home being a wife and a mother and responsible, and I would only have a couple of drinks if I had a babysitter and I went out. So it was just, it's not a struggle for me, but I have a lot of girlfriends who it is a struggle with, like wine. They drink wine every night. And that's just like, I watch Netflix to relax. I might take a bath and watch Netflix, and they drink a couple of glasses of wine. And so I can imagine during the holidays, if you have a higher tolerance, because you're drinking daily or weekly or whatever, then you go to a party, then you're going to knock back several before you start feeling it. Like me and you, I can get halfway through a drink and I feel like I'm drunk already,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody else is going to take 4 or 5 or 6, before they feel it. And when you think about the calories in just one drink, it's a lot. And when you think about the load on your liver, for your liver to have to process it, because alcohol is basically a toxin, it's a lot. So if you can limit the amount of alcohol that you drink, that's great. And if not, just maybe the amount of times that you drink. say you have 5 Christmas parties that you're going to go to during the season, because we all know that it's like a month long party. You know, you have things at church and you have things at work and you have things at, you know, different families, especially if you're divorced and you have different, you know, 3 or 4 different family parties. You could have 10 opportunities to drink. Well, pick 5, you know, or pick 3 and just say, okay, these are the ones that I really would like to have a couple of drinks at. And these are the ones that I'm not going to drink at all. Or be like, I have a 2-drink limit. You know, I can have 2 drinks at each function and that's it, period. I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Which is easier said than done. Some people can't have just one. And that's a whole nother podcast episode that neither one of us are prepared to talk about.
I was just going to say, I don't have the knowledge for that one.
Yeah. You have to find an AA meeting for that.
The only thing I have knowledge for, I do have a couple, diverting there for a minute. I might be getting off your schedule there.
No, you're fine.
Just some little tips or things that I had in my mind.
Yeah, go ahead. We covered everything I had.
We did talk about portion control a little bit, but I just wanted to elaborate. Some people don't know. I can almost look at stuff just from weighing it out so much. But a guideline to kind of go by is 2 handfuls is about 2 cups. And a fist is 1 cup. And it's 4 ounces, which is about what I usually eat of meat. Is 4 ounces would be a half a cup. And that's like if you done the palm of your hand and like cupped it with your fingers, that's going to be about 4 ounces. So you can kind of judge on your plate, you know, your meats and stuff, and separate, you know, knowing, okay, here's my protein, you know, my 4 ounces of that, your starch, and your fruits and vegetables to take up the other. Like, think about your plate being in half, vegetables at the top, and then a 4th on each, you know, protein, starch. Or you could use a smaller plate. I know I am horrible. Well, when I was a kid, you know, you don't care about money. You don't think about that. So I didn't eat a whole lot. Go to McDonald's, you know, your parents get the hamburger. You eat 2 or 3 bites of the hamburger and you're done, right? You don't care that they threw that hamburger away. How many times did your mama say, I ain't going to waste this hamburger. You made me buy this and you didn't eat it. We're wrapping it up. You're going to eat this later, you know,
Yeah.
Which 90% of the time never happened. But I didn't care about that. Now that I'm having to buy it, and especially since like I'm fixing to tell on myself, I went to Whataburger last night. $16 for 1 meal. I was like, oh my goodness. So you're like, I got to eat all of this. And I think that's where a lot of that comes in, because I don't think I'm the only one, especially like when you go out to eat. I have learned, let me give you this little trick too. So like at Whataburger, if they got like this special right now, and I like the jalapeno burger, it's a double meat. I don't need all of that. They will make it a single patty. You can ask, you know, places to do that. I know Ruby Tuesdays has like a chicken, and it's like a 2 breast. I don't need all of that unless I was going to separate it and ask for to-go box, put this over to the side, ask for 1 breast. They'll cut the price for you and accommodate to that. So sometimes I'll ask people to do things like that, so that, because if it's on my plate, I feel obligated to eat it.
Right. I learned that during my first prep. I'm going to learn to be satisfied with what I have available. And it does take your brain 20 minutes after you start eating for your stomach to signal your brain that you're full. Mm-hmm. So if you're shoveling in as much food as you can during that 20 minutes because you don't feel full, then by the time your brain registers it, you're over full.
Yeah.
And so my first prep, when I was first weighing out my food and measuring it and getting these smaller portions, when I ate it, initially I was like, this is not enough. I don't feel full. I'm not satisfied. But if I would just finish my meal, because that's all I had to eat at that time, and I would get up and I would go busy myself with something else, then 10, 15 minutes later, my brain caught up and I was like, oh, I am full. I am satisfied. So
Mm-hmm.
portion control is huge. And that's what I kind of did on Thanksgiving. There were several things that I wanted to eat, like a corn salad, and broccoli salad, and, several different meats. And so I just got like one or two small spoonfuls of each thing. That way I had a couple of tastes. Because I heard somebody talking about, matter of fact, I think it was your coach, Team Atlas. I think he was talking on a podcast about you can have 4 or 5 bites and then no more. If it's something you're super, super, super craving, like a piece of chocolate cake or, something else, 4 bites is all you need to satisfy that craving. And then you shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have to have any more. You shouldn't have to
Yeah.
eat the whole piece but we've been taught, you got to make a happy plate. You got to finish what's on your plate. You can't waste food. Well, that's bullshit. And I don't teach my kids that anymore. I did before my health journey and realizing, but my youngest kid, Kennedy, I tell her, baby, if you're not hungry, don't eat it. I don't want you force feeding yourself. I don't want you being overfull. If you're not hungry, throw it away. I'd rather you throw it away and waste food than to become obese because you're force feeding yourself calories that you don't need because you feel like guilty. She feels guilty if she wastes food. And I'm like, but that asking them to modify the portion when you eat out is genius because it keeps you from having it on your plate to begin with. Also, modifying your order because of my gluten intolerance, I can't really just go out and eat anywhere. So when we were leaving the hunting camp, headed back Sunday, we had a timeline. We were on a strict timeline to get back to Mobile for a birthday party. And so I was like, let's not cook breakfast at the camp because that takes a while, and then clean up and everything. So let's just roll through. McDonald's was the only thing close to out of town. We're in a small town, right? Let's just roll through McDonald's, get some breakfast, get some coffee, and get on the road, eat on the road. Because I had heard somebody say, when you order an egg McMuffin, order an extra egg, no bun. And then you make it like an egg wedge. So it's like 2 eggs with your sausage or if you want sausage or ham or whatever in between, and it completely removes the bun. I was like, how genius is that? Like, I'm today years old when I'm just figuring this out. And if you just sat down and looked at the menu ahead of time, or whatever you're going to eat, you could probably modify to get what you want, get what you need, get satisfied wherever you are, whether you're traveling and eating out or not, and then make it fit your goals, make it fit what you need in the
I
moment.
think there is an app. I'm going to check into that because I talked about getting one time. I think there's an app that has something like that has all the fast food places and like what you could eat to be healthy. I swear, I think there's an app. But
Well, that's cool. I know there's one for gluten. I know there's an app specifically for people that have like celiac disease and gluten intolerance. If you're trying to go like keto, and you want to cut out breads, following like a gluten-free program is like a great easy hack to do that. And I know there's apps for that, but I didn't know that there was one for like healthy modifications.
I swear I've seen somebody talk about it. I'll look into that and then I'll try to plug that next time.
I might put it in the show notes if you find it before this comes out. I could link it in the show notes.
So this one's going to be crazy, and my daughter has done this before, but for a totally different reason, and I do have some of the plates. I've never done it just because I can eyeball it, but you could almost get as petty as using the kid plates with the dividers.
I have that in my notes right here to mention when we got back around to it. My first coach said she uses a baby spoon to eat when she's on prep because a baby spoon's tiny and you can only get so much food in your mouth at one time. So if you're using the little toddler plates, with the dividers and a baby spoon, you're not going to be able to load it down and you're not going to be able to eat that fast. So you're going to hit that 20-minute mark and probably be more satisfied. That's a great little hack there. I mean, it'd be weird to bring your baby spoon and your baby plate to Thanksgiving, but hey, People already think I'm weird anyway in my family, so I'm not
Well,
beyond.
that's the thing is depending on how your family is, like I say, ours is just us. So everybody knows what I do. Everybody doesn't think anything about it. I don't have that 30 people that it would make it more odd for me. So you might not be able to do that. You might just have to get this, get the smaller plate instead of, a regular size plate. Ask for one of the saucer plates.
Yeah,
Or, how sometimes the plates have like, you got the big ring around it and then you just got the middle. Just use the middle. Most of the time we're putting so much food, we're using the rim that goes around because it's wide too. Just make sure you use just the center of
yeah.
the plate and not
Don't
have anything
pile it
going.
up.
Yeah.
So I don't cook, so my family doesn't ask me to bring food. So every time I do, it's like an epic fail. So they ask me to bring the plates every year. So I bring platters, like big thick platters for everybody else because I know, they have to eat. But I also bring little dessert plates for the desserts. And most people I think do have the smaller dessert plates. And I've noticed at catering events like Mardi Gras balls and such, when they don't want you loading your plate down with a whole bunch of food because there's a lot of people, they only provide you with small, kind of like dessert size
Yeah.
plates. And so that's another option. Go to the dessert table, see if they have dessert plates, and just use that.
And yeah.
Eat
And like,
one, go walk around, talk to some people, and if you're still hungry, go back and eat another one.
right. That's what I was going to say because that's funny you brought that up. I was going to mention that it takes our brain 20 minutes, to signal. And so I was going to be like, that's how sometimes when we are so hungry and you go to these functions and you're starving. So by the time they bring the food out, you let your eyes overload your belly anyway. Then
Yep.
now you got it on your plate and you're shoveling it because you were so hungry. And then by the time your brain and your belly matches up, that's when you're over there like, oh my God, oh, I ate too much. So if we actually, it's even better to eat slower anyway because your body can process it better. But if we also eat slower, then you got a little bit of that time for that to catch up to say, am I full yet? But also, like you said, that's a great idea. Eat that one plate. After that 20 minutes, you might realize you're not as hungry as you thought you were.
Yeah. Just graze. Think of it as I'm not going to sit down and just shovel as much in because I know we only get these foods once a year sometimes. Like you said, your daughter's like, I only get mama's chicken and dumplings once or twice a year and I want them. There is my Jean's macaroni and cheese. My kids only get it once a year. So they're going to eat as much as possible. They're trying to capitalize on that moment. And I think there is that mentality that this is the holiday foods. We only get once a year. We got to eat as much as we can while we have it available. But, you can't take it with you when you go. You're basically, you're going to eat it that 5 minutes and then it's gone. But you have the memory of that flavor, of that taste, of that moment. So it's not going to matter whether you eat 2-3 spoonfuls or whether you eat 2 or 3 cups. You're still going to have that taste, that flavor, that memory. So just learning to savor and slow down and enjoy it while you're eating it without having to eat 2 plates of it, is, I think, a skill that a lot of us will have to just relearn. Because when you're a kid, you're not counting calories. You don't care. You go to Thanksgiving, you load your plate up with whatever you like, and you eat as much as you can, when you're younger. I wouldn't say a kid because kids don't care. They're ready to get up and go play with their cousins. But like teenagers, you start learning to look forward to that food. And it's been a lot of years that these practices have been ingrained in our minds, just even subconsciously. And so it's going to take some planning and some effort and some rethinking on our part to make adult decisions and do what's best for our health in the long run and not what we emotionally feel like we need to do in the moment.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about wraps up our session for today. We hope that you guys have an amazing holiday season and hope you stay on track. If you need any accountability or guidance or have any questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. We'd love to connect with you guys and hope you just have a great, amazing rest of your week.
Yes.
All
And
right.
time with
Until
your
next time.
families.
Yes, yes. Stay present, stay in the moment, make it about the people, not the food.
New motto there.
That's right. That's right. Presence and people. New folks
I'll take the presents like real.
in a box. Time and attention.
You better make
I
that
gotta figure
clear.
out a motto that has an F in it so it'll rhyme with food.
I'm fresh out of F's right now.
Enjoy the mood, not the food. Just fresh out of F. All right. We're going to end it there.
All right. See y'all next week.
Bye.